Here is a very important and basic question in Angular. What is routing? And how to set up routing in Angular? Whether it is Angular, .NET, React, Java or any other web technology, everywhere routing is same. Routing helps in navigating from one view to another view with the help of the URL. Let me show you what we will achieve with the help of routing. See, here we have two component links, component 1 and component 2 in app component. Now when I click component 1 link, then the URL is updated to component 1 and the component displayed will be component 1 only. Then when I click component 2, the URL is updated to component 2 and the component displayed is component 2. So in a single page application, we are navigating from one component to another component, and that is only what is called routing. Now in order to set up routing in code, we have to do these 4 steps. Create Angular project with routing option. This is the first step. Then creating components for routing. Then configure routes, and at last configure links. Now we will see how to follow these steps in code and enable routing in an Angular application. First step is create Angular project with routing option. For that, open the terminal, write command ng new routing demo, which is the project name, and press enter. This will create a new Angular project. Here it will ask now, would you like to add Angular routing? And you have to press Y, which means yes, and press enter. Now Angular will automatically create some boilerplate code for routing, meaning some template code for routing. Let me show you the things which automatically created for you. First is this file, app-routing.module.ts. Here you can configure the routes, meaning you can set that if we have component 1 in the URL string, then which component it is going to show. The second thing is router outlet at the end of app.root.html file. This indicates that in the single page application, the components will be placed at this position. So whenever we are switching between two components, then those components, the place of this component will be decided by this router outlet tag only. Now the second step is create components for routing. So this is the second step for setting up the routing. For that we will create component 1 and component 2, and I already created them. Here you can see in my tool that we have two components here. Now this is the second step and the very short one. Now the next and the third step is to configure the route in app.routing.ts file. This is a very critical step, and for this just place this code here. This code means if we have component 1 in URL string, then it will redirect to component 1 component, and same is applicable for component 2. Now if I go to the browser and if I type component 1 in the URL link and I will press enter, then it will show component 1. And if I type component 2 in URL, then it will show component 2. Now the end user is obviously not going to type the links like this. So we have to give some links here in this page, in this single page application, right? For that, this is the fourth and the final step, which is configure links. Now go back to the code. Go to the app.component.html file and put a nav and two links here inside the app.component.html file. Here component 1 will be set the component 1 in the URL, and if I click component 2, then it will set component 2 in the URL. Now all set, all the 4 settings are done. Now let's go to the browser again and see we have the links as expected. Now if I click component 1 link, then URL is updated to component 1, and here we can see the content of component 1 with the help of router outlet only. And if I will click this component 2 link, the same thing will happen. the URL will be updated to component 2, and the component here is displayed is the content of the component 2 only. Alright, this is all about this question. We have covered the basics of routing here, and if you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section. Here is a quick question. What is router outlet in Angular? We already saw this router outlet in our Angular routing question. If you remember, then in our app.component.html file, we have this router outlet, right? What is this? Basically, this is a place where your component will be displayed based on the routing URLs. The correct definition is router outlet in Angular works as a placeholder. Remember, it is a placeholder which is used to load the different components dynamically based on the activated component via routing. So, whichever component is activated will be displayed inside this placeholder. Now here you can see inside the red rectangle at bottom we have the same placeholder, and inside this we have the component. This component is replaced by another component when we are clicking on the link of the different component, and the URL is also changing. So this is the short and simple answer of router outlet, which is basically nothing but a placeholder. This is the answer of this question. Again, a very short and simple question on router. What is router link in Angular? And here you can see the router link inside the hyperlink, right? So the very short and simple answer is router link is used for navigating to a different route, or you can say to display different component. Why I include these kind of questions? Because sometimes we know the whole concept, but we forgot these kind of small but important questions and things about the concept. So it's important to remember them from interview point of view. So this is the short and simple answer. Let's move ahead.